In this video, we will add the internal structures for our level, including walls, platforms, and houses. First, let's add the inner walls. Go to the Materials folder in the Content browser and select the M Cobblestone Rough material. Drag a box brush into the level and rename it Low Wall Bottom Left. Change its size to 800 by 200 by 200 and change its location to 900, 5900, and 100. Hold down the Alt key and drag the red arrow of the wall to make a copy. Rename it Low Wall Bottom Right. Change its X location to -900. Now, hold down the Alt key and drag along the green arrow of this wall. Rename the copy Low Wall Top Right. Change its X size to 1200. Change its X location to -700. And its Y location to 8500. Hold down the Alt key and drag the red arrow to make a copy of this wall. Rename it Low Wall Top Left. Change its X location to +700. And now save your work. So now we have these walls here. In this gap, there will be an enemy going back and forth this way, and in the narrower gap, there will be an enemy going back and forth this way. Okay, so now let's make the platforms of blocks that will be used to jump over the fire right at the beginning of the level. With the M Cobblestone Rough material selected, add a box brush to the level and rename it Platform Block 1. Change its size to 100 by 100 by 100. Change its location to 0, -750, and 50. Hold down the Alt key and drag the green arrow to make a copy of the block. Notice that it is automatically renamed Platform Block 2. Change its Y location to -650 to place it directly in front of Platform Block 1. Hold down the Alt key and drag the blue arrow of Platform Block 2 to make a copy. Change the copy's Z location to 150 to place it directly on top of Platform Block 2. Now we are going to group these three blocks. This will make it easier to move them all at once if we need to, and it will also make it easier to make a copy of all of them at once. First, select Platform Block 1 in the World Outliner. Then, holding down the Control key, select Platform Block 2 and Platform Block 3. Now, press Ctrl G, or right-click the mouse and select Group from the menu. The blocks should now have green brackets surrounding them, indicating that they are in a locked group. Hold down the Alt key and drag the green arrow of the group of blocks to make a copy. Press the E key to switch to the rotation widget. Manually rotate the group of blocks around the Z-axis by clicking on the blue curve and dragging the mouse. A number will pop up showing you how many degrees you have rotated by so far. Rotate the blocks either 180 degrees or -180 degrees. Note that we had to rotate manually in order to rotate the group itself. If we had tried to set the Z rotation to 180 degrees in the Details panel, it would have rotated each of the blocks individually around their own axes. Now, we want to create a gap of about 4 meters between the two platforms. Switch back to an orthographic top view. Make sure grid snapping is on, and the snap size is set to 10. Pan the view so that the blocks are in the center of the viewport. Then zoom in until the scale in the bottom left shows 1 meter and is the width of a single block of the grid. So now, to create a gap of 4 meters, we need to drag blocks 4, 5, and 6 until there is a distance of 4 grid lines between the two groups. Note that this top view is showing the level in the opposite direction than our player faces when starting the level. So blocks 4, 5, and 6 are the group at the bottom from this perspective. So drag that group by the green arrow until there are 4 grid blocks between the two groups. And now, turn snapping off again and switch back to perspective view. Okay, so now let's give the player a reason to need to use these platforms and add some fire in the gap between them. Go to the Particles folder in the Starter content. Drag in a copy of the P-Fire particle system and place it between the two structures. Increase its scale by 4 overall. Now, use the Alt key to drag out several copies of the actor to create a row of fire that stretches from wall to wall. Okay, and now the last thing we will do in this lecture is create the houses at the end of the level. First, we will construct the stone fence for one of the houses. Select the M-Brick cut stone material, drag a box brush into the level, and rename it House Fence Wall 1-1. Change its size to 900 by 50 by 400 and its location to -850, 9125, and 200. Drag another box brush into the level and rename it House Fence Wall 2-1. Change its size to 50 by 1250 by 400 and its location to -425, 9775, and 200. Drag another box brush into the level and rename it House Fence Wall 3-1. Change its size to 550 by 50 by 400 and its location to -725, 10,375, and 200. Okay, now that the fence is complete, we can start to build the house itself. Select the M Basic Wall material, drag a box brush into the level, and name it House 1. Change its size to 500 by 500 by 500 and its location to -850, 9750, and 245. Set its hollow property to true so that the player will be able to walk around inside it. Now we need to add a doorway. Set the camera in the viewport so that it's facing the wall of the house that's on the opposite side of the gap in the fence. Drag another box brush into the level and rename it Doorway 1. Change its brush type to subtractive. Change its size to 200 by 10 by 300 and its location to -850, 9500, and 150. Now we can start designing the inside of the house. Find the M Wood Floor Walnut Polished material in the Materials folder and drag it onto the floor of the house. Now go to the Props folder, drag the SM Chair Mesh into the level, and rename it Chair 1. Press the End key to snap the chair to the floor. Rotate it so that it's facing away from one of the corners and then move it into that corner. Now drag an SM Table Round Mesh into the level and rename it Table 1. Position it in the center of the room. Now, drag an SM Lamp Ceiling Mesh into the level and rename it Lamp 1. Attach it to the middle of the ceiling. Now, go to the Lights category of the Place Actors panel, drag a point light into the level, and rename it Lamp Light 1. Change its mobility to static, and position it in the same place as the bulb of the lamp mesh. Zoom out until you can see the blue spherical radius of the light. Change its attenuation radius property to 500 so that the sphere is only slightly larger than the house. Okay, so now the house is complete. Go to Build, Build Lighting Only to see how everything looks with the lighting built. Now we are going to combine the house, the fence, and the furniture into a single group, so we can make a copy of that group. So in the World Outliner, select Chair 1. With the Control key held down, also select Doorway 1, House 1, House Fence Wall 1-1, 2-1, and 3-1, Lamp 1, Lamp Light 1, and Table 1. Press Ctrl G to group the actors. Switch to Orthographic Top View. Zoom out until you can see the entire house group and also the end of the level. Turn on snapping and set the snap size to 100. Hold down the Alt key and drag the green arrow to make a copy of the group. Position it so that there is roughly an equal amount of space between it and the first group and it and the wall at the end of the level. Hold down the Alt key again and drag the red arrow to make another copy of the group. Press E to switch the rotation widget and rotate the group 180 degrees. Press W to switch back to the translation widget and use the red arrow to move the group until the edge of the house fence is flush with the level wall. Hold down the Alt key and drag the green arrow to make the final copy of the house group. Position it so that it lines up with the first house group. Okay, so now turn snapping back off, switch back to perspective view, save your work, and rebuild the lighting. And now, if you want, you can press the play button to fly around the level and take a look at your work.